Thank you for joining Jennifer Schaus and Associates in our 2019 webinar Wednesday series. We're coming to you live from downtown Washington, D.C. Our webinars are every Wednesday, and you can find the upcoming schedule on our website. Past webinars and all recordings are also on our website and on our YouTube channel, along with over 160 other recordings on federal contracting topics. All are complimentary. If you have questions for our speaker today, you can email him directly with the contact information you'll see on the last slide. Right, just a little bit about us. We are a Washington, D.C. based firm and provide services for federal contractors. This ranges from market analysis reports to proposal writing and also post-award compliance. More information is on our website, so please visit us there. And this is an upcoming event that you can find more information on our website or also on this slide. And we do offer advertising, so you can email me if you would like more information on that. And our webinar today is sponsored by AccuTrack, and here's a short message from them.
AccuTrack Consulting and Accounting Services is an 8A WOSB CPA firm committed to supporting entities to sustain growth in government contracting. Our outstanding DCAA accounting solutions reduce audit risk, improve cash flows, and give you peace of mind. Contact us today to learn how we can enhance your DCAA accounting efforts.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Our speaker today is Skip Blackburn. Thank you for joining us, Skip. He's going to be covering 7 steps for a strategic and effective capture program. Skip, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. Just wanted to go through at a high level some strategic and effective capture processes that should be implemented throughout your organization and your sales team, just to ideas. So you can advance down one slide to the agenda. So we're just going to, again, talk through each of these items fairly quickly, but spend some time on each one to give you some information to take home with you today. So let's go ahead and advance to the next slide. So qualify before you spend. It's really important up front when you get a new opportunity that you want to chase, or you've been assigned a new opportunity to track down and work on. Really important that you spend the time up front researching that opportunity. Things like make sure each deal is what you do for a living, in your sweet spot of what you can deliver. Make sure the customer has an interest in your company or knows who your company is and likes you. Make sure that the incumbent is not a lock. Make sure that the organization you're talking to has money. It's already been appropriated or budgeted. And then you could ask yourself, does your company want this deal? Is management above you on board with this project, this type of opportunity? Is it the right type of work for the company? Is it the right contract type? Is it the right set-aside type? So all those kind of things you need to find out up front. And finally, and importantly, can you build a team that is a winning team? Do you know enough companies that do what this opportunity is looking for that would be interested in joining your team that would excite the customer? So all things you got to do during this research process of qualifying a deal. You want to meet the customer. I mean, there's 4 primary groups of people you have to be in front of. You must be in front of the CO or the SES that's in charge. You must get in front of the program manager or managers that will be running this program. Have to get in front of the KO or CO, the contracting folks, to make sure that you know who they are and can work on the type of contract it is. And you have to make sure, if the funding is not completely in place, that you can meet with the funding source and help the customer be certain that they're understanding why this is such an important project, and to make sure the money's allocated appropriately. When you talk to the COs and SESs, the leadership team, you have to make sure that you get them to tell you who to go brief, right? So I always go in and start with the top person, the CO of the command, and say, here's what we do, here's how I can help you, who should I brief? As soon as they tell me go talk to Bill and Sue and Betty and brief them, I just got a gold card, what I call a gold card. And that allows me to call those three folks on the phone and tell their gatekeepers, your boss's boss's boss just told me to brief you, find me a time. And they will clear the calendar and find you a time, because if the boss told you to brief them, then the boss is going to circle back around and ask questions, and they need to be informed. And then you need to set up regular meetings. Monthly meetings are the best to meet with all these different folks on a regular basis. Follow the leadership to all their speaking engagements, and make sure that you walk the halls of that organization. Okay, next slide, please. So capture strategy. You've got to develop a call plan, a capture plan up front. It seems like just busy work that you're writing all this stuff down, but it's really quite important to have a plan in place for visiting the customer and the team that's going to be trying to win this deal. Again, the four different places you need to visit are the CO or SES, the PM team, the KO shop, and any funding requirements that you need to help work on for the PMs. You need, I always meet with the PMs and their teams at least weekly or semi-monthly so that I can become their friends and understand what their true issues are. I meet with companies for teaming on a weekly basis to find the right team and make sure that we're following what we're hearing from the customer as we're meeting with them. Then I want to meet with the incumbent for learning whatever information I can get from them. I generally meet with 4 or 5 different people throughout their leadership of the incumbent. And lots of information falls through the cracks that I learn about, even though they may think I'm going to compete with them, or they may think I want to be on their team. So there's lots of discussions to have, but you're really just seeking more information about the customer to make sure that you have that information. Gate reviews. Gate reviews, again, seem like a lot of effort for the capture folks to gather all that information and get it together on a template and make it look nice and go have your meetings. But you really want to get that information together, make certain that management and you get value from every meeting, every gate review that you do. And you really want to make sure that the customer gives you their real issues, right? Are they concerned about their promotability if the project fails? Do they want to be visible throughout their whole organization and above, or do they want to be hidden so nobody, keeps the spotlight on them? And competition for different positions within their promotability. All things that you can help them with as a capture executive if you know that they're concerned about certain pieces. And then the shaping issues, you want to work with the real issues, not, everybody's going to read the 5 items on the RFP when it comes out. Those, and everybody has to answer the mail. So we all get that. But what you want to learn from the customer and the industry is, what are the real issues? What are the real problems or pain points that the customer has that you can solve and make sure that you give them give away whatever you can to make their lives easier. So you want to determine the true differentiators of what they're looking for and exploit those for the wording, because you want to get the wording rolled into the RFP itself to give yourself that differentiation when you're responding. to the 5 items that they listed in the RFP. So shaping is the most vital part of the whole process that you need to stay on top of. Next item, next card. So right questions in right time. I mean, really important. What are you supposed to ask the government, and when are you supposed to ask it? And this is, this is a massive and major part of capture executives' lives every day. Things you want to find out about, you at some point during the hopefully 2-year cycle that you're shaping a deal, you need to find out when the RFP date is, if the incumbent's doing well, what small businesses the customer likes or dislikes, what team they might want to keep, what people they might want to keep during a transition, all those types of information you want to learn about. You want to have discussions with the customer about their promotability, about the visibility, what kind of technology or solution are they looking for, and can you give them white papers to help educate them on the different choices and why yours is bigger, better, smarter, faster than others. You want to make sure that you find out their other needs, not just the 5 RFP items. You want to find out what flexibility they have for going to IDIQ vehicles that you own and have better pricing under than your competition that you would expect to bid on this. And again, you want to help them manage their funding issues if they're having challenges. And again, what to ask, the most important thing to do is listen, right? You want to find out ultimately who's on the source selection board, because that's really important for you to go meet with them and shape them. You want to find out who they like. Do they like your company? They have never heard of your company. Do they like, big companies? Do they like small companies? And again, what incumbent issues you can gather from the conversation. When to ask, that's all about timing. You don't walk in 2 years before an RFP is supposed to come out and start grilling them. Well, when's the RFP coming out? What's the next code? What issues are you having with the incumbent? I mean, bang, 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 bang. And they're just going to think you don't know what you're doing because they don't even know the RFP date or the next code yet. So why are you asking me, right? I mean, it's just too early. So you really have to pace yourself and ask the right questions at the right time. You've got to figure out what's needed, what's missing, what things could be better for the customer, what issues they're having, ghosting issues, they're having with the incumbent, things like that. And then when you get close to the release of the RFP, you start talking to them and asking them about their transition needs and their shaping changes and drafting words for the RFP. So, there's early on first meetings, there's capture duration during that 2 years, and then there's a cycle close to the release of the RFP. And all of those, you find out different types of information. It's very, very important to have that skill set available and understood. Next slide, please. So understanding the customer, again, we've kind of touched on this a little bit. What are the real issues? I need to know what the 5 items they're going to ask for in the RFP. I get that. Everybody's going to see those at some point, either in a draft or industry day or when the RFP comes out itself. But I need to find out the real information. Again, what's your promotability? What kind of visibility does that PM want to have? He may or may not want his boss's boss to put a spotlight on him. And if this particular opportunity goes south, he becomes non-promotable and moves to the right. Never a good thing. So you'll really want to talk to them about their promotability, what their interests are. Do they want to be an 05 or an 06, or do they want to be an 07, and all of those kind of things. So you really understand their wishes and dreams and can help educate them on how your company can make that the best for them. Project success history. So you need to understand where they've been successful in the past and where they've had challenges with projects and what size companies were doing those when that didn't go so well. So you understand their underlying concerns and fears. And budget pressures, of course, Are they looking for tech updates, or is this just an O&M deal? And are they going to have more money or less money to do the same amount of work? All vital things that aren't going to be talked about in the RFP, but as they read your response and you talk about these, you address these issues, it makes them feel much more confident about your response. And focusing on resolutions, it's all about briefing them on all the things you bring to the table, being specific to those people's needs and positions in the organizations, what their current solution is, and do they want a solution or do they want a resolution, right? A new reset, and why you? Why would they pick your company? Why is it better to hire you instead of just making it simple for them and just doing the incumbent again and again because they already know everything, and the customer doesn't have to work as hard. All things that you do during that whole shaping process. Next slide, please. So collecting the information, every piece of information throughout the 2-year process that you're shaping a deal and talking to the customer, meeting with companies, you're learning information. And most folks, they keep track of things in their head. They'll do a gate review once in a while, so some of the stuff gets written down, but most of it's always in the capture executives' heads. And as you're doing 3 or 4 captures simultaneously, they start to get mixed up sometimes and forgotten. And it's really important not to, because it's all about the compelling response. All those little nuggets of information that you collected all go into that response process and mindset. So it's really important that you use some type of software to collect all that information, and even better software that would ask you the right questions to ask the government at the right time and collect that information at the right time in the process. If you don't have software that does that, or you can't find software that does that, you really should write up your call notes after every meeting and email them to yourself so that you have a historical run of data points and elements and issues and challenges that you can use when the RFP gets close to being released and you're starting to do black hats and meet with your internal teams to respond. So it's really important that you store all this information somewhere that's retrievable, because all that information drives your shaping, your win themes, your ghost themes, which are vital pieces of a compelling response. Finding software that helps the sales team be successful. There's software out there that's been developed exclusively for our industry, the GovCon market. You really should go out and find software that does that, and purchase it based on the flexibility of the software, the knowledge of the software brings to helping salespeople manage captures, and automates manual processes and integrates departments within your sales team for fluid management. So all really important things to ask for to make sure it's demonstrated and that you're looking for. Next slide, please. So executive updates, again, lots of sales folks are out there and they're doing great stuff, but having to update management on a regular basis, always seems challenging, and it's not always expressly defined as to what the value is of doing all that work. Gate reviews are a vital part of taking the knowledge that you've gained about the customer, the competition, the team you're building, and the type of contract vehicle it is, and making sure management understands that for each deal they're looking at. Because all across the process, the management's given one budget in the beginning of the year to run all their sales, pre-sales, and all their B&P work. And it's quite a balancing act to try to budget that and be able to project revenues on a regular basis for senior executives and public companies are even more challenging because they have to manage the street expectations quarterly, and it's all based on the roll-up that comes from each level of management that gains this information. So it's really important for capture executives to reinforce their knowledge and changing aspects of every deal and making sure that management knows that a particular deal isn't really shaping up properly for whatever reasons, so that they can potentially allocate sales monies elsewhere to be more valuable. And that goes into the budget management. Budgets are done 14 months in advance, and they're finite. They're for all that next year, and it's important that that budget money is spent on deals that have a better P-win, more likely to win, and not bidding on deals that have a lesser P-win and less likely to win. So you end up bidding on deals you win more often if you do this analysis properly. Next slide, please. So it's all about a compelling response at the end of the day, right? Well, there's two things. One, if you bid on price, that's what it's really all about. Everybody knows that. You can do all this great work, but the budgets that have been shaved and shimmied over the last 7 or 8 years have really driven our industry to be a very cost prohibitive type environment. So price is still, as of today, price is still number one on everybody's mind as they're awarding these contracts. But if you write a compelling response, if you really understood what differentiates you from your competitors, what pieces of whatever you do for a living are the most valuable to the customer, and you really drive your win themes based on what the customer issues and worries were, not just the five, not the 5 items that are listed in the RFP, but what really resonates with each level of the organization that you met with that are going to be part of the board selection group. So it's really important to find out that information. Polishing and shining up your differentiators that really matter, and create a constant writing theme throughout the response that the customer can remember and resonates with them, because it's one of their pain points, not one of the 5 things listed. And again, very important that you just don't reiterate their 5 things they're looking for and say low price and higher level people that you're delivering, and just obvious things that everybody's going to say. And then ghost themes are really important to remind the customer of why not to pick other competitors, right? If you're a small company and you're bidding against big companies, you have to remind them that it's very difficult for them to adjust their prices, and they're not as nimble and agile as you are. And if you remember all their worries and issues that you talk to them about, you mentioned that small companies are better for this type of project, or vice versa. If you're a big company and there'll be small companies trying to bid against this, and they'll likely have a lower price, you need to remind the government, without being specific, but through ghost themes, to make sure you remind them of the challenges that might bring them, or the pain that might bring them. So it's really important to know all those different pieces to write a compelling response. Next slide, please. This is our last slide. So again, just some suggestions to make certain that you take home with you, but create a repeatable capture process and follow it. Internal company issues, you really need real software to help you run your business. I mean, that's the only way to do it properly and consistently and repeatably. You should be asking the same set of questions, 30, 40, 50, 100 questions for every deal. no matter what the deal is, you should be, if you're the prime, you should be asking the same set of questions across all your different deals. Because it's all the same information that you want to collect and then evaluate so that you can grade each deal that you're bidding on and only pick the ones that have the best P-win or the best value for the customer. And you always want to determine your competitive weakness, your competitors' weaknesses, so that you can strongly ghost. Listen to the customer. Most people go in and they're in such a hurry to brief the customer that they lose track of what the customer wants to tell them. And so you should really spend a lot of time asking leading questions and then let the customer talk, because as they talk and get comfortable with you, they're going to start to reveal things that you truly need, and that gives you that little bit of differentiator against your competitors who might not have let the customer talk and might not have heard that information. And you want to learn about their real issues, their win themes, ghost themes, budget issues, promotability, visibility, all the things we've talked about today all come out of listening to what different people in the organization that you're selling to say about what their issues are. And at the end of the day, management should only be bidding on deals you can win. So if you have 10 deals you're working on and half of them just don't have a good winnability to them, executives need to learn to pass on those deals and move that budget money to other deals that can improve that winnability even more, or find new deals that can become more winnable after they're qualified. So many companies get caught in the process of working down and selling a deal, and then they just can't pull the plug on it. They just get lost in the dust. So it's really important to bid on deals you can win. So that's what I have. We're all done, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Skip, for sharing your knowledge and insight today. Today's presentation has been recorded and can be found on our website or YouTube channel within about 48 hours. If you have questions about today's topic, please contact Skip at the phone number or email shown on your screen. Thank you, everybody. This concludes the webinar.